Hello people, welcome to this video. Here we have a DSLR, a Canon EOS 5D, and as you can see it has no mirror here. There should be a mirror, but we don't have it. Lucky for us, there is a very easy fix for this. We can just put some Scotch tape instead of the mirror and it will do something I think is an acceptable job. You can actually do this with practically all DSLRs, so it's not specific about this camera. Well, let's get into a bit more detail about why it works. So this is a little drawing of what's inside a common DSLR. Here is, well, this is not inside DSLR, this is our subject, what we're taking a photo of. And this blue line represents the light from the subject which is coming towards our DSLR. Now, the light reaches our first mirror, which is the one we are missing in this camera, then it reflects, it gets into this prism, it does a bit of movement, and then it reaches our eye. But what this mirror actually does is not only directing some of the light towards our eye, it actually allows some of the light to pass in, so we can just draw it here like that, and this light here goes and reaches a second sensor, which is not our main sensor, which is here. It is, our main sensor is behind the mirror while we're looking through it, and some of the light passes through it, reaches a second mirror, and it hits a second little sensor, which is our autofocus sensor. So some of the light is reflected and it gets into our eye, it allows us to see what we're going to take a photo of, and another part of the light goes through the mirror, it hits a second mirror, and it later reaches a second sensor which allows us to do autofocusing. When we take a photo, this whole body just moves upwards, it allows the light to come in, and we just take the picture in, with our main sensor. But we're not interested in that right now. Right now we're interested in what this mirror does specifically, because that's the mirror we are lacking. What this mirror is doing is, as we said before, divide the light in two. So anything that divides the light in two, even though it may not be perfect, will probably do an acceptable job. So take a look at this little experiment that I set up to demonstrate the effect that I intend to use when I replace my mirror with, well, just Scotch tape. Here you can see a little object that I built, so it's got some Scotch tape here, and it's standing at 45 degrees, just like our mirror would stay inside of our camera. While here you can see I have a laser, which is, well, it's on, so we're going to point it at our Scotch tape and see what happens. Now, yes, here it is pointing in the correct direction. Now, you can see that, first of all, there is a little green dot here, which is where, of course, our laser is hitting. Then there is a second green dot here, because part of the light is passing through. But if I put my hand here, you can also see a third dot, which is made by the reflected light. And in our little project, what's gonna happen is that this light which is getting reflected is gonna get in our eyes, so this is the one which is going to get in the viewfinder, while this one here is going to reach the autofocuser. And yeah, so as you can see, Scotch tape is working decently. So just to show you a bit, this is what you can currently see through the viewfinder. We have nothing, we have no mirror, so of course if you go here, you see nothing, literally nothing. And like it's open, if the mirror were here, you should be able to see something, but you can see nothing right now. So let's do this little modification. First of all, we take off the lens, then we turn the camera on this side, then we take a piece of Scotch tape. Here I have prepared it for this situation, so I'm gonna make it a decent shape like this, and then I'm gonna cut a piece like this. Alright, now I'm going to take a paper clip, attach it to the paper clip so that I don't have to use my fingers very much, and I'm just getting in. Alright, here we are. Alright, so, but, well, there is a little, like, this part is a bit too long, so, okay, but I'm gonna leave it like that, because I want to remove it later. Now let's take a second piece of Scotch tape. Let's cut it, just like the previous one, and let's, again, put it inside using our little instrument. Yeah, this one is quite long as well, but again, I'm gonna keep it, like, I don't think it's gonna make any damage. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna keep it actually, maybe I'm gonna remove it temporarily and then I'm gonna place it again. Now that I think about it, I'm not really sure about whether it will touch some delicate mechanism, so I'm gonna just cut a little piece from it, just to make sure it's a bit shorter. Yeah, and so this is our temporary mirror. Yeah, here it is. Here it is, our temporary mirror. Okay. So, I tried it a bit, and my previous mirror was a bit better. So I repeat the operation a couple of times. I cut the pieces of Scotch tape a couple of different times. I tried putting them on a couple of different times. And this is the final mirror I made. I am quite pleased with the result. I'm going to show it to you right now, but first of all, let me just give a couple of tips. First, try to touch the gluing part of this as little as possible. That's tip number one. Tip number two, which is even more important, make sure your mirror is flat. Now, even if it does not cover the whole base, you can see we have this left part here which is not covered. Even if it does not cover the whole base, even if it is a bit touched, it doesn't really matter as long as it is flat. This is the most important thing. Have it flat, because if you have a part where there is a fold, that part is rendered completely useless. So these are my tips, and now I'm going to show you how the result looks like through the viewfinder. So here is our setup for the little demonstration we did before, and here is the camera with its new mirror. So as you remember, before it was completely black, we could see nothing. Let's come here and see what we can see right now. Alright, as you can see, at least right now, something is seeable, right? So this is it, and so it's working. Let's also do a second test. Let's do this. Let's come here, do some autofocus. Alright, so it took some autofocus. This is the photo, and okay, we don't have a card to save it on, but as you can see, the focus is working. So that's it. It's a temporary solution. I don't suggest having it there for a long time, because with time Scotch tape will deteriorate, and of course that will not be good for your camera. In the long run, I'd suggest cutting a little piece of glass, something which I'll definitely do later, and using a little piece of glass rather than a little piece of Scotch tape. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.